Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Hare Krishna. Today we are going to read from page 634 in our Yellow Bhagavad Gita. We are reading from chapter 16. The title of the chapter is The Divine and Demoniac Natures. Trividam narakasyadam dwaram nasanam atmana kama krodhas tatha lobhas tasmad etat trayam tyajat. Word for word meaning, you can repeat after me. Idam, of three kinds. Narakasya, of hell. Idam, this. Dwaram, gate. Nasanam, destructive. Atmanaha, of the self. Kamaha, lust. Krodhaha, anger. Tata, as well as. Lobha, greed. Tasmat, therefore. Etat, these. Trayam, three. Tyajat, one must give up. There are three gates leading to this hell: lust, anger, and greed. Every sane man should give these up, for they lead to the degradation of the soul. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The beginning of demoniac life is described herein. One tries to satisfy his lust, and when he cannot, anger and greed arise. A sane man who does not want to glide down to the species of demoniac life must try to give up these three enemies, which can kill the self to such an extent that there will be no possibility of liberation from this material entanglement. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitamena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. Vancha kalpatirubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, who are just like desired trees, fulfilling the desires of everyone, and are full of compassion for the fallen, conditioned souls. Yeah, this is a wonderful verse. I'm going to read the translation again. Let's try to internalize the meaning. There are three gates leading to this hell: lust, anger, and greed. Every sane man should give these up, for they lead to the degradation of the soul. So there's not just lust, anger, and greed. We know that there is more than lust, anger, greed. As we read through the rest of Bhagavad Gita, we get to know there's lust, anger, greed, envy, pride, and illusion as well. Says a sane man who does not want to glide down to the species of demoniac life must try to give up these three enemies. So these three enemies will take us to hell. These are the three gates that lead one to hellish conditions of life: lust, anger, and greed. Anything without Krishna in it is lust. When we try to get that for our sense gratification, it's lust. And anger as we know, and greed is also self-explanatory here. So these are the three gates that lead one to hellish condition of life. Now today we'll hear one of the wonderful pastimes from Srimad Bhagavatam, where there is a personification of greed and anger and envy, and that personification of envy and greed is a black serpent called Kaliya. So some of you may have heard this wonderful pastime from Srimad Bhagavatam, and this particular pastime can be read from the 15th, 16th and 17th chapters of Srimad Bhagavatam. And this pastime is right after Dhenukasura's pastime. Dhenukasura is an ass demon or a donkey demon. Right after that pastime is this wonderful pastime of Kaliya. So when we read this 15th, 16th and 17th chapters of the 10th canto, which means we have passed through many pastimes in the 10th canto already. And some of the pastimes that has already gone by in the 10th canto before we get to this wonderful pastime of Kaliya, pastimes of Lord Krishna with Putana, Trinavarta, Shakatasura, then we also have crossed the pastime of Brahma Vimohana Leela. We also have crossed the Damodar Leela. We have crossed the pastime of Agasura and also Dhenukasura. So several of these pastimes have already gone through when we come to this 15th, 16th and 17th chapter of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And even if you have read or heard this wonderful pastime of Kaliya the serpent, or Krishna's pastime with Kaliya, any topic concerning Lord Krishna are like nectar. In spite of repeated readings, it's forever fresh. So it does not matter how many times we read, it's always fresh, like nectar. And Sutta Goswami explains to Shaunaka Rishi that when one hears the pastime of Lord Krishna, it is a remedy for all the material misery. So again, I want to repeat this again. It's a wonderful statement in the Vedic literature, Sutta Goswami to Shaunaka Rishi. So all of you are here to hear Bhagavad Gita, to hear the pastimes of Lord Krishna. So there is incentive for all of us. And what is the incentive given by Sutta Goswami to Shaunaka Rishi? Is that the pastimes of Lord Krishna are remedies for all the material miseries. So now all of us have go through various material miseries. All of us have got this material misery. Miseries are miseries caused by body and mind. All of us have some physical problems at some point in life. We may not have now, but at some point we will have. Miseries caused by other living entities. Miseries caused by natural calamities, catastrophes, and also miseries of birth, death, old age, disease. So all these are miseries that all of us have to go through. But here Sutta Goswami is explaining it to Shaunaka Rishi and through Shaunaka Rishi to all of us, is that when we hear the pastimes of Lord Krishna, it is a remedy for all the material miseries that we all have to go through. So that's a wonderful benediction that all of us get just by hearing this wonderful pastime or any other wonderful pastime from Srimad Bhagavatam about Lord Krishna. So in the next 40 minutes or so, we will try to hear this wonderful pastime of Lord Krishna and how he chastised Kaliya, the black serpent. So who is Kaliya? So Kaliya is, as we heard, is a venomous, very dangerous, ferocious black serpent, and we read that from Srimad Bhagavatam. Now materially, many of us would have heard from it, when you study in your school and colleges about snakes. You would have heard about a very, very venomous snake called cobra. Everybody would have heard about the snake called cobra. Now cobra is very venomous and dangerous, but what you may not know is that there is a snake that is 50 times more poisonous and venomous than cobra. And it is called as inland taipan. Some of you may have heard. So it's the most dangerous and deadly snake that and it is 50 times more venomous than cobra. And one bite of this inland taipan, that poison that is generated by one bite of this snake is good enough or bad enough to kill 100 human beings. So one bite, the poison that is generated, you can take it and put it in 100 different human beings and all 100 will die. So such is the venomous poison from this inland taipan. It's a real snake on earth. Now, and as I mentioned, this inland taipan is 50 times more deadlier than cobra. Or the same poison you take and put it on 250,000 mice, all of them will die. One poison from one bite of this inland taipan. So that is the deadly nature of this most deadliest snake on earth, and it's called as inland taipan, more venomous and dangerous than the commonly known cobra. Now, as you will hear later on in this wonderful pastime, this inland taipan's bite will not even be like a mosquito bite when you compare it with Kaliya, the most venomous and dangerous snake. And you will hear that the reason why inland taipan is nothing compared to this dangerous Kaliya. Of course, even when inland taipan bites somebody or cobra bites somebody, that person will die, but the degree of poison in Kaliya is incomparable to that of inland taipan or of the cobra. So before we get to know or hear this wonderful pastime from Srimad Bhagavatam, we have to know the past life of Kaliya. So here we have to go to Garga Samhita to know the past of Kaliya as well as Garuda. You would have heard about Garuda. Now there were two wonderful sages by the name of Vedasira and Aswasira. So this is from Garga Samhita. And Vedasira is a great saint and is performing various austerity in Vindhya hills in India. And at that time, a second Muni by the name of Aswasira comes there, and he also wants to practice this austerity and vows in that sacred place. But then Vedasira Muni gets angry that this Aswasira Muni is also coming close to him to perform this austerity, and he says, "No, you cannot come here and perform the austerity where I am already performing. I want you to go from here and perform your austerity somewhere else." And this Aswasira Muni says, "This is not your place, this is Lord Vishnu's place. So you are meditating here, I am also going to meditate here." But Vedasira Muni said, "No, you cannot meditate in this place where I am meditating." So Aswasira Muni curses Vedasira Muni that you are very, very dangerous and venomous like a snake, so I curse you to become a snake. So Vedasira Muni becomes Kaliya the snake in the next life. And in return, Vedasira Muni curses Aswasira Muni, "You are very vengeful that you curse me for such a small transgression, so I curse you to be a crow." And Aswasira Muni becomes a crow called as Bhusanta. You would have heard this name in Ramayana. And Lord Vishnu comes and he says, "Okay, at some point in time, I will place my lotus feet on your head, so you will not be in any danger of Garuda. And then Bhusanta, the crow, you will be a transcendental crow where you'll know the past, present and future as well." And we know that Lord Brahma appeared from the navel of Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. And Lord Brahma had many sons from many different parts of his body. For example, Marichi came from the mind of Lord Brahma. From the contemplation of Lord Brahma, Narada Muni was born. Daksha was born from the thumb, and so on. Atri Muni from the eyes of Lord Brahma, so on and so forth. So Marichi had one of the sons, and one of the sons of Marichi is Kashyapa Muni. And Kashyapa Muni married many wives of Prajapati Daksha, and some of the wives' name you would have heard. One of the wives of Kashyapa Muni is Aditi. Now from Aditi, the demigods were born. Agni, Vivaswan, all this, then Bhumi Devi, all of them were born from Aditi. And from Diti, another wife of Kashyapa Muni, the demons were born. Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha, all of them were born from Diti. And then there were many other wives, and one of the other wives was called as Kadru. And from Kadru, Kaliya was born, who was Vedasira Muni in the previous life. So from Kadru, Kaliya was born, and many other snakes were born, as well as from Vinita, another wife, Garuda and Aruna were born. So all these names may be familiar to some of you. So Kadru and Vinita, they were always inimical towards each other. And once they asked the boon from their husband Kashyapa Muni for them to have many powerful sons, and then Kadru asked for many powerful sons, and she's not like a human being, very powerful personality, so she laid, and Kashyapa Muni gave the benediction for her to have many sons. So she laid many eggs, and from the eggs all the snakes were born, and one of the snake was Kaliya. So Kaliya was Vedasira before, and now he appears as the grandson of Marichi, and grandson is the son of Lord Brahma. So he's such a powerful personality. And from the other wife, Vinata wanted few sons, but very powerful sons. So from Vinata also laid 2 eggs, and all the eggs of Kadru, who she is jealous of, another co-wife, sons were born, because the eggs hatched and the sons were born. But the benediction she got from her husband Kashyapa Muni, she was able to lay 2 eggs, but the eggs did not hatch for many years. So for 500 years she was waiting and the eggs did not hatch. So what did the mother do? Vinata, she broke the egg, which is her own child. She broke the egg prematurely because she was wondering why my sons were not born. And I'm jealous of the other co-wife, and she's got all these wonderful, powerful children, snakes. But my 2 children are not born. So she broke the egg prematurely, and from that egg, Aruna appeared. Aruna is the charioteer of, eventually became the charioteer of sun god. But when he appeared in the color of this morning sun. Morning sun is this orange in color. But he is supposed to be like the color of the afternoon sun, yellowish in color. So he was born prematurely because his own mother broke the egg. And when he came out, he was not fully formed. And then eventually he became the charioteer of Vivaswan, the sun god. But he did not curse his mother, but there was a prediction that he gave. My dear mother, you did not have patience, and you broke the egg, and I had to be born prematurely. So I'm going to tell you that in due course of time, you will be a slave to the co-wife that you are very envious of. Both of you are always saying, so you will be the slave of Kadru. And then he became the charioteer of sun god, and Aruna left. Now, for 500 more years, the other egg did not hatch, and finally the egg hatched, and then Garuda appeared from that egg in the powerful form as Garuda. But in between those 500 years, the prediction of Aruna to his mother Vinata was that she will become a slave to Kadru. And how she became a slave? Once there was an innocuous bet between Vinata and Kadru. They were always angry at each other, and they had an innocuous bet. And the bet was that Uchaishrava, the horse, this is the horse that appeared from the churning of the ocean of milk. The first wonderful being that appeared from the churning of ocean of milk was Surabhi, and the second one was Uchaishrava, the horse. This horse is seven-headed horse, as beautiful as the moon, white color. Now they had this bet, and Kadru said, this horse is white, but the tail is black. And Vinata said, no, the horse is white and the tail is also white. But Kadru said, no, the tail of the horse is black. So they went, argued back and forth, very innocuous bet, very silly bet. And they said, okay, tomorrow morning we are going to go and take a look at this Uchaishrava, the horse, white horse. We know it's white horse, but whether the tail is white or black. If I win the bet, you will become my slave. If you win the bet, I will become your slave. So it was like a prestige bet. And Kadru was slightly skeptical. You know what, maybe the tail is white, but I am saying the tail is black. So what Kadru did, she called all her sons who were black in color. The snakes were black in color, and she said, my sons, I want you to go and wrap yourself in the tail of this horse, Ucheshava, so it looked from far that the white horse has got black tail. And some of the sons refused to do that because it's not the right way to win the bet. So they refused. And their own mother, Kadru, cursed them that you will be killed in the Yajna of Janamejaya. And who's Janamejaya? Janamejaya is the son of Maharaj Parikshit, who's doing this Yajna because Takshaka had bitten Maharaj Parikshit, and Janamejaya is performing this Yajna to kill all the snakes. And Kashyapa Muni ran to Lord Brahma and he asked for forgiveness. All my sons are going to get killed. What am I supposed to do? And Brahma said, only your good sons will survive. All the envious sons will die in this yajna. And many snakes died in this yajna. But some of these sons were getting scared and they agreed to go and wrap themselves in the tail of Ucheshava so that the horse looks black with a black tail. And next day morning when Kadru and Vinata went, from far they saw this and the tail was black in color. So by deception, Kadru won the bet. And Vinata became the slave for Kadru for 500 years. And for this 500 years, the second egg did not hatch. So Garuda was not born at this point in time. So she was a slave for 500 years and eventually Garuda was born. Garuda is a powerful personality. From the 30th verse of the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, amongst the birds, I am Garuda. And it is said when Garuda flies, the wings chant the Vedas. And it's a very, very powerful personality. And Garuda is not just famous or well known in India. In Indonesia, it is a national symbol. In Thailand, it is a national symbol. And anybody knows the Indonesian airline is called as Garuda Airlines. So Garuda is not just a powerful bird which is popular just in India. So in Indonesia and in Thailand also Garuda is very, very famous. So Garuda at some point said, why mother that we are always obeying the orders of all these snakes and Kadru? What is the reason? And then Garuda's mother says, because I lost this bet and we are slaves of them. And then Garuda goes and approaches all the snakes and he says, what can I do to you to satisfy you so that my mother is not going to be a slave ever again? Then all the snakes says, okay, we want you to bring the Amrit, the nectar. When you bring and give us the Amrit, then we will not make your mother slave again. We'll release her from this slavery. So it's a wonderful pastime. We may not have time to hear the process of him getting this Amrit. But in summary, Garuda goes, gets this nectar, and then by pre-arrangement with Indra, that nectar is brought to this snakes, and before the snakes can drink that, mother is released from the slavery, but then they go take bath, and before they come to drink it, by the pre-arrangement, Indra takes this nectar and goes back, so none of the snakes get that. So they won the bet by deception previously to make Vinata the slave, and now by the same deception they release her and they don't get this nectar as well. So that in summary is a little bit about who Kaliya is. Kaliya was Vedasira, and then Bhusanda was Asvasira, and then the pastime of how Marichi's son was Kashyapa Muni, and how Kadru and Vinata and that. So this wonderful pastime of Kaliya is from 15th, 16th and 17th chapters of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And one day when it was real hot day, the cowherd boys go to Yamuna lake and they went to drink the water, and as soon as they touched the water, they all left their life. They died. So cowherd boys and the calves, they died when they touched this Yamuna lake. And the reason was because Yamuna was so poisonous. Yamuna lake, it's not the Yamuna river. And Sridhar Swami, in this particular past step that you are going to hear, it's from Srimad Bhagavatam with nectarian purports by Srila Prabhupada, as well as we have taken some purports from Sridhar Swami, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, as well as from Sanatan Goswami. So here it is said that this Yamuna lake was 8 miles wide and it was full of deadly poison because Kaliya was living there. And nobody could even approach this lake in general because there were deep holes surrounding this lake and venomous poisonous snakes resided there. And it is said in Srimad Bhagavatam that even the demigods could not even fly on top of this lake. Could not fly. In material world we would have heard about this Bermuda Triangle. So here, this particular lake was so intoxicated with this poison that the vapor from this poisonous lake was carried by the wind, and for an extended area, there was no vegetation. All the trees and plants had died. Any bird that is flying in the nearby area were all dead because of this deadly poison. And here, these cowherd boys are all dead because they tried to go near the lake, touch the water from this Yamuna lake, and it is said that this lake was actually boiling because of this poison. Just imagine that if you have to boil a big bucket of water, how long it will take to boil it, to get it to 100 degrees Celsius. This 8-mile long lake was boiling because of this poison from Kaliya. Now Krishna sees all these cowherd boys and calves are dead. And what does Krishna do? Who's Krishna? The last verse of Bhagavad Gita, Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, Yatra Partho Dhanurdhara, Tatra Shri Vijayo Bhuti, Durva Nitir Matir Mama. So he is the master of all the master of mystics. So Krishna, Lord Krishna looks at the dead cowherd boys and the calves, and just by his nectarian glance, all of them come back to life. So if somebody is bitten by a deadly snake, for example cobra, you need antidote. And if somebody is in a serious condition in the hospital, in an intensive care unit, that hospital should have all the latest gadgets and equipments, just try to save this person's life. Here the cowherd boys, it's not one person, many cowherd boys, many calves are all dead, but Krishna, Lord Krishna just glances at them and they are all coming back to life. So that is Bhagavan Shri Krishna. He's got this 6 opulences in full: wealth, strength, fame, beauty, knowledge and renunciation. And bringing somebody back to life is nothing new to Lord Krishna. In the 45th chapter of the 10th canto, we hear how Sandipani Muni, who is the spiritual master of Lord Krishna, Lord Krishna and Balaram asked, what can we do for you? As you've done so much for us. And Sandipani Muni says, okay, can you bring back my dead son back to life? He was swept away by the waves of ocean of Prabhasa. Prabhasa is in near Dwaraka, in the western part of India. And then Lord Krishna and Lord Balaram, they go to Prabhasa, get the personification of ocean, and they say, I want my Sandipani Muni's son to come back to life. And the ocean, the personification also, no, it's not me, but it is actually, there is a big demon by the name of Panchajana, and this Panchajana is a conch demon, and he has actually taken the son of Sandipani Muni. So Lord Krishna dives into the water, finds Panchajana, cuts open his stomach, but he cannot find Sandipani Muni's son. But what Lord Krishna finds? Panchajanya, the wonderful conch. If you remember, Panchajanya conch is the one that Lord Krishna blows at the beginning of Mahabharata war. And what does Lord Krishna do? Because he's not unable to find Sandipani Muni's son in the belly of this demon, Panchajana. So he goes to Samyamani. Samyamani is the headquarters of Yamaraj. So he goes there to Samyamani to get the dead son directly from Yamaraj. And he goes and he blows this wonderful conch, Panchajanya. The last 2-3 weeks we have been discussing about the different 28 hellish planets in the radio program. And it is said, and where is Yamaraj's abode? Yamaraj's abode is just above the 28 hellish planets. We have the Garbhodaka ocean, then we have the 28 Narakalokas, and then we have Yamaloka, and then we have all these other Atala, Vitala, Sutala, all these planets are there. So when Lord Krishna blew this conch, Panchajanya conch, it is said all the sharp leaves in the hellish planets that were actually cutting through all these sinful souls all fell down without any power. They are not sharp anymore. And in the Kumbhipaka hell, where they actually boil the sinful personality in hot oil, no more cooking there. And it is said that all the sinful personalities, because they heard this wonderful Panchajanya conch being blown by Lord Krishna, all of them got liberation from hellish conditions. They are all going to Vaikuntha planet.
So there's nobody to punish.
Nobody is there to punish. They all got liberated by the fortunate position where Lord Krishna went in search of Sandipani Muni's son, and then eventually Yamaraj hands Lord Krishna the son of Sandipani Muni, and Sandipani Muni's son is brought and handed over to Sandipani Muni. So bringing somebody back to life is nothing big for Lord Krishna. And many pastimes. 85th chapter of the 10th canto. We just heard about 45th chapter about Sandipani Muni's son coming back to life. 85th chapter is Devaki, Lord Krishna's mother. After many years, she's saying, we heard as Guru Dakshina you brought Sandipani Muni's son back to life. Why don't you bring my 6 elder sons, that is your elder brothers, back to life? They were killed by Kamsa. Can you please bring them back to life? And immediately, Lord Krishna knows past, present and future. This time he did not go to Yamaraj's abode. This time straight he goes to Sutala planet. As we said, Atala, Vitala, Sutala planet. And who rules Sutala planet? Bali Maharaj. So he goes there and Bali Maharaj offers wonderful prayers, washes Lord Krishna's feet, drinks the Charanamrit, sprinkles on everybody the Charanamrit of Lord Krishna, and then offers wonderful prayers and ornaments. Wonderful worship of Lord Krishna is done by Bali Maharaj. And Lord Krishna says, okay, now I want the 6 sons of Devaki to be brought back. And they are brought back in the form of little babies, the same way they had died. And all of them drink Devaki's milk. And because it is Mahaprasad, because Krishna also drank, they got liberated and they went back. There's a history about who these 6 sons were. They actually represent lust, anger, greed, envy, pride and illusion. So many other pastimes, how Krishna brings back somebody back to life after they are dead. Another example that we can think of is when Mount Mandara fell on top of all these demons and demigods. Effortlessly, Lord Vishnu at that time picks this Mount Mandara, which is 80,000 miles high, made of gold, and effortlessly places on Garuda. So we'll hear more about Garuda as well. On Garuda, and then by mere glance, all these demigods and demons come back to life. So by Krishna brings dead people back to life just by his mere glance. Another example is Aghasura. So Aghasura is coming from this very famous or infamous family, because Putana is the eldest sister, who when she died, she was 12 miles long. And then the next brother is Bakasura in the form of a duck. He was like a mountain. And the youngest brother is Aghasura, who's like a python, who is in the form of a python, who was 8 miles long. And the calves and the cowherd boys walk into this mouth of Aghasura, and then Krishna goes and expands. And then after the death of Aghasura, again he just merely glances at the dead cowherd boys and calves, and all of them come back to life. And also Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is none other than Supreme Personality of God, Lord Krishna, he brings Shiva's sons back to life. If you remember, during the Kirtan, Shiva's, Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Shivas is none other than Narada Muni. But Shiva's son had died, and then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu places his hand on his chest and he says, come back to life and chant. And he comes back to life, a dead boy comes back to life. So, getting somebody back to life is nothing new for Krishna. So by mere glance, he brings all these cowherd boys and calves who had died by coming in contact with this vicious, poisonous water of Yamuna lake. And what does Krishna do? 4.8, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chadushkritam. So here, Krishna, to deliver the pious, to annihilate the miscreants, to re-establish the principles of religion, what does he do? He knows, he wants to teach a lesson to Kaliya. So our acharyas tell us that he tied his hair back, he tightened his belt, and he slapped his arms. So exactly this is what it says. We can even visualize what was going on. So tightened his belt, tied his hair at the back, slapped his arms, climbed on top of Kadamba tree. Now for those of you who are paying attention, can ask me, Did you not say that, for an extended period, all the vegetation had died because of this poisonous vapor? How can this Kadamba tree alone be alive? It's a very valid question. But our Acharyas give us answer for everything, so we just need to go deeper. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Garuda in the past knew that this pastime is going to take place, so he had taken this nectar and he brought it and he sat on this Kadamba tree to give this opportunity to the Kadamba tree to get the dust from the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. So this Kadamba tree is the only tree that is alive in this whole area. Now, even in material life on earth, heard about tree of life. Is anybody from Middle East here? Or has anybody been in Middle East here?
Yes, sir.
Prabhu? So, you've been in Bahrain?
No.
No? There is a tree called Tree of Life. Sajarat al-Hayat. So you can do a Google search on this. It's called Tree of Life. This tree is 400 years old, so it's scientifically proved. It's in Bahrain. So you can go and type in Tree of Life in Google. This tree is 400 years old and it's in the center of a desert. There's no other vegetation surrounding that for miles. Only green. So there are so many pictures of this in Google. So this is called Tree of Life. Nobody knows how there is water for this tree. Nobody knows. That's the only vegetation that is available. It's a 32 feet high mesquite tree. And there's no water, there's no vegetation. Mystically it's living there. So it is possible even here that there is a tree called Tree of Life. So Krishna climbs on top of this Kadamba tree and he dives into Yamuna lake. And you just heard sometime back that this Yamuna lake has got so much of poison, just the water droplet coming in touch with anyone, the birds die, the vegetation dies. Here Krishna dives into the water from this Kadamba tree, and there's so much of splashing of this water on all sides, and the nearby area were all flooded because of this Lord Krishna diving into this Yamuna lake. And Lord Krishna made wonderful musical sound with his arms and hands, it is said. So he's happily swimming inside Yamuna lake, and Kaliya hears this wonderful sound and is envious, of course, and he wants to see, he's seeing who it is who's come into my lake. And then he sees Lord Krishna. See how fortunate this Kaliya is. Kaliya is seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face. The beautiful lotus petal-like eyes, sesame flower-like nose, bimba fruit-like lips, the white pomegranate seed-like teeth, this yellow beautiful garment, dhoti that he's wearing. All this Kaliya is seeing, but he still cannot recognize that this is the Supreme Personality of Godhead because he's intoxicated with pride and his embodiment of anger and envy. And he's not the only person. Kalyavana, we read that Kalyavana and 30 million barbaric soldiers, Lord Vishnu is walking barefooted in front of them, 30 million barbaric soldiers. Kalyavana and 30 million barbaric soldiers could not recognize that he was Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ravana is there, he's seeing Lord Ramachandra face to face, he could not realize that he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bhutana, Trinavarta, Shakadasura, everyone, they're seeing the Lord face to face, but they cannot recognize he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha, all of them are seeing.
In the whole Mahabharata and war itself,
everybody is seeing, but they cannot recognize because they're not in this mood of humility. They're arrogant, intoxicated in pride. And what he does, Kaliya comes and immediately wraps Lord Krishna in his coils and he bites him in his chest. So again, Kaliya bites the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the chest. And as we just heard, this poisonous vapor is so dangerous, and here the source of the poison is Kaliya, and he bites the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the chest and nothing happens. And what happens? In the meanwhile, there are some cowherd boys in the vicinity and some cowherd men. They are seeing this. As soon as they saw Lord Krishna wrapped in the coils of the deadly Kaliya, they immediately fell down like in Srimad Bhagavatam it says, like how a tree falls down when you cut it off the root, how it falls? Just flat. They're shocked and they fall flat. And these cows and these calves and these bulls, they are shocked. They're crying, but no tears are coming from their eyes. And it is said that 3 types of omen, bad omen is taking place there. One in the air, one on the land, and one in the bodies of the living entities. And Sridhar Swami explains that one in the air is that the meteors are all falling. As soon as Krishna is wrapped in the coils of the deadly Kaliya, meteors are all falling. And then on earth, tremors are taking place, like earthquakes, minor earthquakes are taking place. And in the body of the living entities, the left eye is quivering, Left eye quivering means it's not a good sign. Not just in India. In Nigeria also it is considered that it's inauspicious. In Cameroon, it's considered inauspicious, and they say that there is an impending death. In Hawaii, it is considered inauspicious as well when the left eye is quivering. But in China it's opposite. Right eye quivering is bad. But this eye quivering is a bad sign. China is the right eye. So when all these bad omens are taking place, Nanda Maharaj and all the cowherd men run out of this village, and they only think of Krishna, just like a cow thinks of a calf. Whenever there's bad thing, we always think of our children. When something bad is happening, whether it's bad, oh, my son, oh, is he okay? My daughter, is he okay? He's outside. So they immediately, all of them think of Lord Krishna, and they start coming to find Lord Krishna near Yamuna lake. And how do they find? You may ask, how can they know where Lord Krishna is? And Srimad Bhagavatam wonderfully explains, they follow the footsteps of Lord Krishna. When Lord Krishna walks, the 19 auspicious marks in the feet of Lord Krishna are embedded as he walks. So there are 11 auspicious footmarks on the right feet and 8 on the left foot. So when Lord Krishna walks, and nobody in Vrindavan ever walks on top of Krishna's feet, it seems. Even the animals do not walk. They preserve it because the treasure of their life is the ornament of the earth. So they just follow the footstep and they come. And they come in search of Lord Krishna. And as soon as they come, they see Lord Krishna there, and they're all fainting. They're fainting, they fall down. They get up, they see Krishna again wrapped in the coils, they faint again. And then they're trying to go and charge towards Yamuna lake to go and rescue Lord Krishna, and Balaram stops them. And is Balaram stopping them, and what is he doing? He's laughing. And our Acharyas explain, Balaram is laughing because I am Adisesh, lifting the entire universes like mustard seed, and Lord Krishna does not play with me. This little mundane snake, Lord Krishna is playing with this mundane snake. So he's stopping everybody. No, don't worry. This is a nice Leela. And it is said how the gopis, the young gopis, are all in agony. They are in the fire of this agony, and they are all lamenting. Tears are flowing, and this older gopis, they are all holding back Mother Yasoda from going into this water. So everybody is trying to jump into this deadly poisonous lake to save Lord Krishna. And Balaram is also smiling later on, and he thinks, this is like, like how you put our Acharyas explain, like you put a fan, table fan next to Himalaya, Mount Himalaya. Will the Himalaya move in that fan? So Lord Balaram knows what's going on, but all of them were in agony. And then finally Lord Krishna realized that all the Brajvasis were in so much of agony about Lord Krishna. So he expands his size, and then Kaliya is forced to release Lord Krishna. And then what happens? Lord Krishna goes in circles, and Kaliya goes round in circle again and again and again and again, and he tries to bite him again. Kaliya is trying to bite Krishna again, and he's circling so many times that Kaliya becomes so tired in the end. And it is said Krishna pushes the head of Kaliya down, and Kaliya's got 1,000 hoods or heads, right? He pushes Kaliya down, and then he climbs on top of Kaliya's head. And Srila Prabhupada explains, if we are not humble, if we are arrogant, we are not devotees, pay obeisances to Lord Krishna. We fall flat, we pay obeisances. Now for those who are not humble, they are forced to become humble by this powerful time, which comes as death. When somebody dies, their head is down anyway. They cannot raise up. So here, Lord Krishna climbs on top of the heads of Kaliya, and 101 heads are very, very prominent. Srimad Bhagavatam says 101 heads of the 1,000 are very, very prominent. And Lord Krishna starts dancing on the head, on the hoods of Kaliya. Now just imagine, this is a moving stage. Some of you are dancers here, other than Dirnitai Prabhu. So, now this is a moving stage, if you can think about it, right? In one way you can think like a raging bull. These matadors try to get onto a bull that moves on all sides. The bull is nothing compared to the power of this Kaliya, moving all his thousands of heads so that he does not want Krishna to be on top of the head. And Krishna is beautifully dancing on this moving stage. And all these Gandharvas and Siddhas, they all come from the heavenly planet just to play musical instruments and sing. And their musical instrument playing and their singing becomes glorious because of Krishna's wonderful dance on this moving stage. And they're all throwing flower petals on this wonderful dance performance by Lord Krishna. And then Lord Krishna actually stamps on each one of these 101 heads. Now this Lord Krishna's lotus feet is so soft. For the gopis and Mother Yasoda, it is so soft. They think, how can Lord Krishna walk in the pebble? His feet is like butter. And the same feet, because this is all in the early part of Lord Krishna's Vrindavan pastime. So the same feet, which is like butter, is like thunderbolt as far as Kaliya is concerned. All these powerful heads are trampled and broken down. It is like Srila Prabhupada explains, death for a devotee and non-devotee seem to be the same. It's like a cat. You know, how does the cat catch a kitten? It looks dangerous, right? It catches the kitten with the mouth in the neck and he takes. But he's so gentle with the kitten. But a mouse, the same cat is catching a mouse in the mouth. So there's a diametric opposite scenario there. So here, the same butter-like lotus feet is the shelter of all the living entities, but the same lotus feet is like more powerful than thunderbolt as far as miscreants are concerned. So the 101 prominent heads are beaten down, broken, and all the remaining heads are also broken. So 1,000 heads are all broken down, and he is emanating all this poison. Prabhupada says in the purport, all the poison comes out from his nostrils and mouth, and later on all the blood came out as well. So all the anarthas came out from Kaliya. And Kaliya's wives, Nagapatnis, they are all starting to pray, because they initially thought our husband deserves to die because he's such a demoniac person. But later on they saw him being humble, being remorseful, being regretful. Then they thought, our husband has become a Vaishnava now, so let's endeavor to protect him. And they offer wonderful prayers. They put all their babies in front and they offer full obeisances, and they're saying, whatever punishment that you've given to our husband is good for him because all the contaminations are removed by your mercy. And then they offer wonderful prayers. One of the wonderful prayers is Namastubhyam Bhagavate Purushaya Mahatmane Asaya Bhutaya Paraya Paramatmane. Wonderful prayer. So here the Nagapatnis pray, we offer our respectful obeisances to you, Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then you are present in the hearts of all the living entities as Paramatma, but you are also all pervasive. You are present everywhere. You are the original shelter of all the material ingredients, but you exist prior to the material elements. And you are the cause of all causes, but you are beyond all the material cause and effects. And they say, please forgive our husband just like a father forgives a naughty child. Please have mercy on us. And after wonderful prayers are offered by Nagapatnis, Krishna releases, jumps down from the heads of Kaliya. And Kaliya, because all the aparats are gone, all the poison has come out, and he offers 4 wonderful prayers to Lord Krishna. And Lord Krishna says, now you cannot stay here. You have to go back to Ramanayaka island where you came from, which Srila Prabhupada says it is in Fiji. And the reason why he came here was another long pastime from the 17th chapter, where in summary, Garuda's natural food was the snakes, and Garuda was coming to eat all the snakes. And the snakes had a pact with Garuda saying, we'll offer you monthly offering food, so you don't come and eat us. And Sridhar Swami explains that the offering was made by human beings to snakes because they were possessed by some snakes. So that offering, the snakes were giving it to Garuda. And what Kaliya was doing, Kaliya was eating those food that was offered to Garuda. And so Garuda became so angry with his left wing that is golden in color. He hit Kaliya and he was about to eat Kaliya as well. But then Kaliya escaped to Yamuna lake because only Kaliya knew that Garuda is forbidden to come to this lake because of a curse by Saubari Muni. Because he went to eat some fishes there and then he was cursed. So he knew. So Kaliya knew if he is hiding in this Yamuna lake, Garuda cannot come. So Krishna says, now you can go back to Ramanayaka island and do not fear Garuda again because I danced on your head. My 19 footprints with all these auspicious marks are on your head. When Garuda sees this, he will offer obeisances and go, do not worry. So wonderful prayers are offered, worship is offered by Kaliya and the Nagapatnis, and they circumambulate the Lord and fully surrendered. And Srila Prabhupada once said, when one of the devotees said, I wanted to renounce everything after hearing all these wonderful pastimes. And Srila Prabhupada said, you don't have anything to renounce. What you have to renounce is the misconception that you have something to renounce. Whatever we have or you have is Lord Krishna's anyway. So why do you think you have something that you can renounce? So when we are in that mentality that we are the servant of the servant, nothing belongs to us. So this is a wonderful, wonderful pastime. There are so many lessons to be learned. One is the 1,000 hoods of Kaliya represent the thousands and thousands of material desires that all of us have. And the only way that desires can go away is when Lord Krishna destroys those heads, like how he danced on the hoods of Kaliya. And another lesson to be learned is how when these cowherd boys and these calves went to Yamuna lake and they died when they came in contact with the poison, our acharyas explain that we are also spiritually dead. We are also spiritually dead, but by the mercy of the glance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, how they came back to life, we, by the mercy of Lord Krishna, can revive ourselves and come back to spiritual life again. And the tongue is considered to be like Kaliya. And it's very venomous and poisonous. And when we chant the holy name, Lord Krishna dances in our tongue and he removes all the aparads and anarthas, lust, anger, greed, envy, pride and illusion goes away. And it is said, Ata Shri Krishna Namadi na bhavat grayam indriya sevan mukhe jivato swayameya spratiyata. So here it is said, with the blunt material senses, we cannot appreciate Krishna's name, form, quality and pastimes. But if we offer service through the tongue, and what is the service that the tongue can do? Chant the holy name, glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and honor prasadam. When we do that, then we start appreciating Krishna's name, form, qualities and pastime. And the prasadam prayer that we say, Sarira Vidya Jal Jodhendritayakal. So what is that meaning of that prayer? So it is said in that prayer that the body is a place of ignorance and the senses are networks of paths leading to death. And the tongue is the most difficult to control of all senses. It's very voracious and uncontrollable. But you, Lord Krishna, has given us this wonderful prasadam to purify ourselves, and we will chant your glories and in love chant the names of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda. So this is again a wonderful pastime from the 15th, 16th and 17th chapters of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So we strongly encourage you to read this pastime and read this nectarian glories of Lord Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Gaur Premanande. Hare Krishna.
Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Gauravacharini Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Jaya